Third up here is Patrick Harris. He's getting set with Isaac and Suke in our first of 3 competitions still to come. We'll have point counterpoint up next, where our competitors will be paired up and debating one of the hot sports topics of the day, and then we'll conclude the competition. They'll each have a 4-minute monologue on a topic of their choosing. But right now we've got 5 minutes on the clock, and we'll send it over to Patrick Harris.
Thank you, Swag. Appreciate it. We are here at Buffalo Wild Wings doing Hump for the Host Year 2. I am joined here by the great Isaac and Suke. And guys, surprised to see me?
We're not great. No, I'm not surprised to see you, and I love your voice.
That's what they all
Dude,
say.
smokers' voices are so cool.
Is that a humble brag right there?
What?
That's what they all say? He just dropped it. That's what they all said.
Well, they probably do. Everybody loves that voice.
Buttery voice.
Dude, that voice is so cool, especially on women. You know, like women who have a little bit of a rasp, maybe a tattoo.
Single moms.
Am I going too far?
The funny thing was
inverted.
The funny thing was last year, Dusty said to me, he goes, if you don't have a shot in this competition, it's time for porn. You got it. Just nail it. Do it just like that. I believe he said the term "nail it" too, which I thought
think
was
he's right.
apropos.
I'm not surprised to see you, although you were pissed last week.
When Thunder Fist.
Because people don't know, people listening out there, Patrick was not one of the people chosen here last week. He was actually voted back in, and you were pissed. You thought you did well last week.
Well, it was one of those things at the time. I felt really bad because I didn't want people thinking I was mad at them, like mad at other contestants, mad at you guys. I got respect for all the guys here on this panel.
Be the angry contestants.
Except for Luke, who said he was hungover and knew nothing about sports and still won the competition.
Right. It was just one of those things where I was, it's when you feel like you've done your best, if you don't quite get it there, that's kind of hard on yourself.
I like the competitive fire, though, man.
You got a little chip on the shoulder.
There's
nothing wrong with that.
No, nothing. Well, I'm here with Isaac and Suke, and we want to thank them for joining me. And guys, I've had such a great time being at this. This is my second time here, and experiencing what it's like to actually try to be on the radio, host a show, and seeing the behind the scenes has been such a learning experience for me. And waking up this morning, I was thinking, okay, you got to talk about something tonight. What are you going to talk about? So I look at the recent topics, and the stuff trending today are things that I don't want to touch come 6 o'clock at night because they're things that have been beaten to death. How do you guys, as professionals that do this in a day in and day out, wake up in the morning, know you're getting in at 3, that your show starts at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and you got to talk LaShawn McCoy? How do you keep that fresh and relevant?
Well, because, one, you don't listen to a lot of other stuff. Let everybody else, you respect everybody else, but let them do their thing. That's the first thing. So, because, you hear too many opinions on it, you too are going to be burnt. The other thing you got to remember in radio is your audience is your audience. They may not have heard anything else. You are the one they come to. So I don't care what anybody else did. I'm going to do the show, and Suke and I are going to do the show the way we feel like is the best way to do the show that day. And it typically does coincide with how other people do their show because, they're smart too. They're good radio guys. They know what hits and what moves the needle. So I never worry about what's been beaten to death because I just assume that anyone listening to us hasn't heard what's going on. We're the one informing them. So that's the way I approach it.
Yeah, and you'll occasionally get a feedback, someone like on a text program or something says, will you please move on from this? You have to just shrug that guy off because that's the 1% that's been listening for 8 hours.
Yeah, he is so the minority that because you get a new audience every 10, 15 minutes.
Right. Well, do you ever wake up in the morning and say to yourself, I know Kentucky won a close game last night, and I know everyone's going to talk about can they go undefeated. Do you think about, even though I don't listen, is there a chance that everyone's going to take this side and I'll just take the other side? Or do you go more with gut feeling on that's how I feel?
I feel like there are some people that do that, and we really try not to. In fact, one of Rob's things is all the time is I'm glad you feel that way about it because it leads to a conversation. But when you're taking the other side just to take the other side, that to me gets sniffed out real easy.
That's contrived.
Yeah.
No way to fake it.
No,
people
it's
can read through that stuff.
Yeah,
Just do you, man. Say what you think and how you feel. And if Kentucky bores you and that's a topic you don't want to talk about the topic that interests you that day. And if nothing interests you that day, you probably got a problem and you probably shouldn't be on the radio.
We probably do as much wandering as any show in America, but because our whole thing is if we're entertained with each other and we're having fun, the audience will have fun, even if it's not necessarily the topic du jour. Which sounds good, by the way. I'll have that.
Double.
We'll just, we just try to have fun. Although there are some days when the topic is so big that you're stupid if you venture anywhere other than that. you have to know your audience. And when something's so big, it's,
you also got to remember that a lot of people don't follow sports. Actually, the vast majority of the audience doesn't follow sports as closely as we do. Yeah. Right. So they may think they've been in meetings or been out of town, and they see this, oh, yeah, Chip Kelly traded for, you know what, I'm going to tune to the Fan and see what the guys are saying about that. You better be in touch with that topic, even though it's been broadcast pretty much throughout the whole day.
Excellent point, and thank you for joining me, Mr. Isaac, Mr. Suke. And that's a little insight, guys, on how the business is done. You're listening to 1080, back to Swag.
Thank you, Patrick. Patrick Harris, everyone. Well done. Little different tact there.
Yeah, I liked it. It was different than the traditional one, in that he actually took the approach of it was a show and he was interviewing us. And, you know, as a guy, he was interviewing our philosophy on radio. Almost, not to, boy, it's going to sound pretty douchey, but sometimes you see it like where, you know,
shocking.
The guy that's replacing, you know, David Letterman will have, you know, David Letterman come on, or we'll have another talk show. That's what that reminded me of, is when you see a late night host interviewing another late night host. And, you know, that was the guy that was kind of picking the brain on kind of how you go about it. But I thought he led that conversation, maybe even more so than the other guys. He was calm, he was in control of it, and I thought he sounded good.
Yeah, he got me more interested because he was talking about my craft, right? Yeah. I talk about the Blazers all day, but he's asking me these questions. And I think that the question that you asked, that's a question that actually a lot of people can identify with. A lot of people listen, and they're like, God, why do they hit the same, you know,
I think that conversation in a general audience would have been interesting to a lot of people.
People relate to it. So I thought you did great, man.
Yeah.
All right, Isaac and Suke enjoyed it. Let's see what the guys think. We'll start with Dusty.
I think that the more appropriate analogy is not David Letterman coming on the next one. I think it would be Arsenio Hall or Joan Rivers going on.
Chevy Chase?
Yeah, we are no David Letterman, you two up there. But Arsenio, you are, and we all can appreciate it.
I'll take it.
Magic Johnson?
I always fancied myself as Jenny Jones.
Easy.
Maybe Maury Povich.
I agree with them. The way you started it was surprising to me. First of all, I'm glad you made it through again. I thought you deserved to go through. It was hell for us to sit there and go through and look at the numbers, and they didn't lie. But I'm glad that you did make it through. The interview was different, and it was still good, and you wanted to listen to it. I thought that if there's one thing, it was at the very beginning, before you took control of it, Isaac had to kind of take it from you. And he'll do that. That's just who he is, you know. But that's the only time you lost control for like 20 seconds, and then you took it right back over. And when you did, I thought it was really good. You had a great 4.5 minutes at the end of it. So I thought it was awesome.
And we'll hear from Ryan Cooley.
Hey, Patrick. I echoes what Dusty said. I'm glad you made it through, man. I was excited to see the vote. You know, coming from the sales side, a lot of times what I tell my team is you got to get the client talking about their business. They don't care about what we have. They care about their business. That's what they get up every day and worry about. And you nailed it from that perspective. You got those guys talking, and they said they were more engaged. They looked more engaged. They sounded more engaged. So I got to give you a lot of credit for that, man. I agree with them. I think listeners would have been interested to hear what Isaac and Suke have to say about doing their show. So great job.
Well done, Patrick. 1 down, 2 to go for you.